Well, for some reaction on how South African businesses are likely to benefit from Uganda's state visit and the trade deals between Kampala and Pretoria that were agreed upon, we're now joined by Kganki Matabane, who's the CEO of the Black Business Council. Thank you so much indeed for joining us and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Peter and the viewers, and thank you very much for having us.
All right, your thoughts about what's been signed and been agreed by South Africa and Uganda. What does it mean for black business in particular?
The signing of the MOUs and other agreements is very, very significant, especially now that South Africa is a signatory to the African Continental Free Trade Area. That free trade area's intention is to make sure that the inter-countries businesses and business opportunities are enhanced. And for example, you spoke about the 3 billion that I agree is way below what could be possible. Especially when you look at the Uganda, for example, the Uganda has got so many unexplored minerals that we can take advantage of exploring. And our financial institutions have got some presence in Uganda, but our state-owned financing institutions like the IDC, the PIC, African DBSA, they are able to fund black business people to go there and then do business in Uganda. And then there are already big telcos and other companies that are operating in Uganda, and we think we can increase that trade, especially to implement the African Continental Free Trade Area.
All right. African Continental Free Trade Area should enhance, but there weren't really restrictions, were there, between trading Uganda and South Africa? So the question then becomes, what really is different? It's a question of desire, surely.
Yes. Again, we always emphasize there's an issue that I think especially South African, we are well known for, which is talking and not implementing. So what needs to happen is that all these MOUs and MOAs need to be implemented, but business is ready. We are already working on a trip to Uganda so that we can take some of our business people to Uganda to explore opportunities. We were there before COVID, and we were welcomed, and they took us through the opportunities that are available. So we just need to have that will that will take us there. And once we start doing more business in Uganda, I'm sure Ugandan business people will also come to South Africa to do business. So we need to start implementing and stop talking.
All right. The president at the State of the Nation spoke about cutting through red tape. Do you think that there's been some red tape that perhaps have made it a little difficult for business to happen that you would like to see more of done away with?
Yeah, I think in any trading environment, there will be some red tapes, things like visa, and those type of things. So we don't think there are especially there are a lot of them between Uganda and South Africa, because as I said, we have been engaging with them, and we like what the president of Uganda, President Museveni, said. He said he would like to make sure that he beneficiates in Uganda, which is one of the things that we need to do here, so that we can create jobs here. So he wants to create jobs in Uganda, and I think we agree with him. So those cannot necessarily be viewed as negative developments. Those are positive developments. We need to encourage each country to create jobs for its own citizens first. But he did indicate that they are open for business, and South Africa is also open for business.
One of the things that I've seen as I've traveled across the continent is a lot of South African brands landing on different countries' shores. Do you think, though, that there needs to be a new way of doing business? In other words, setting up joint ventures, partnerships, rather than opening up branches in other countries?
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because what happens, you'll see even most of these companies that are operating in Uganda or any other country in the continent, the important thing is to choose the right partners. We've seen some of the relationships that don't end well, mainly because people did not do a proper due diligence to choose the right partner. So it's always important to have a local partner. Either you are in Uganda or whether the Ugandans are coming to South Africa, because the locals understand the written and unwritten laws and rules of any country. But it's important to choose the right ones, because if you don't choose the right ones, you may end up not being able to succeed. If you look at the challenges, I think that they have been raised, is that most of the South African companies, when they get to the continent, Uganda included, is that they become arrogant, and we've always told our members that when you get to another country, don't behave like you're in South Africa. You need to respect the laws of the country. You need to respect the people that you are dealing with, and that way you'll be able to succeed. Otherwise, you'll be labeled, and the things that you are supposed to be facilitated may not be facilitated because of how you behave. So it's important that South Africans, wherever they are, they should not behave like the USA people when they come to other countries.
So one perennial problem that we have that's raised often by countries, other countries on the continent, is that the balance of trade is always skewed. South Africa tends to export more than it imports from these countries. What are you doing as the Black Business Council to encourage Ugandan entrepreneurs to come and set up business in South Africa?
Yes, we had a discussion with the Development Bank of South Africa, because what we've realized is that the reason why it's a little bit relatively easier for South Africans to go and invest in other countries and invest in Uganda is because most South African companies have got access to funding. So the challenge with our colleagues from other countries and from Uganda in particular, they don't necessarily have access to funding. So they need funding from the likes of the DPSA, the likes of the African Development Bank, so that they can at least be able to come and establish here. And then some of them, you'll see when you go to the continent, some of them don't necessarily even have the right infrastructure. So what you call the imbalance, I think it will always be there, but it will take time before it almost reach an equilibrium of some sort. But because South Africa is more developed, the financial institutions of South Africa are more developed and more accessible, it will always be like that until we get to a situation where the Ugandans as well are on the same level.
Mr. Matabane, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks for your insights tonight.
Thank you.
All right, that's Kganki Matabane, who's the CEO of the Black Business Council, talking about the memoranda of understanding that's been signed between South Africa and Uganda, with the President of Uganda being in the country to talk about bilateral issues with Pretoria and Kampala.